Good morning, I'm Isaiah Jacob. Yesterday in college hoops, the Buckeyes fell to Wisconsin 92-82. Head coach of the Bucks, Jake Diebler, was not happy with the defense after the game.
Listen, I know we didn't shoot the ball as well as we're capable of. I like the way we attacked the offensive glass. I thought we got some really good looks inside that we didn't finish, well enough. 82 points on the road should put you in position to, battling all the way through the last possession with a back and forth.
For Ohio State, Bruce Thornton and Amari Bynum each had 18 points in the loss. In the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers are trading DeAndre Hunter to the Sacramento Kings for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. The three-team deal includes the Chicago Bulls acquiring Kings forward Dario Saric and 2 future second-round picks. The Blue Jackets got another win last night over the St. Louis Blues, 5-3. That's 5 in a row for the Blue Jackets, winning 9 of their last 10 games.
This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
This is the show that allows you to be the star. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Welcome to the Fan Call-In Show. I am Dave Biddle, filling in for Ryan Baker today. We have Scotty Vegas here as usual. Isaiah Jacob, our wonderful producer behind the glass. Gentlemen, how are we doing today? I will say my drive into the station this morning was a lot less eventful than last week driving in Sunday morning.
Yes, and my drive around Florida last Sunday was just fine. My drive to the golf course, 80-degree weather, it was just fine, Dave and Isaiah. But good morning. Yeah, this is quite a different morning, obviously. Where you had about, maybe a half inch, a little dusting of snow overnight. But I did see, somehow, guys, I still did see a car way off the road. And I'm like, how did that car get that far off the road? But, so it's still slick in some areas, but hopefully people are being careful this morning as well.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. So, it was level 2 when we were coming in because, they were like, don't get on the roads if it's a level 2 unless you feel like it's important. It's like, well, obviously doing a sports radio show is important, so it's a level 2. On our way home, Isaiah was stuck here. On our way home, when Ryan Baker and I were driving home, we were not in the same car, but going to the same area. They changed it to a level 3, where you're not allowed to be on the road unless you're emergency personnel. I didn't know it because they changed it as I was on. I didn't know till I got home. My wife's like, by the way, you were like being like illegal, like for at least half of your drive home. That would have been funny if like an officer stopped me and said, "Sir, are you emergency personnel?" "Yes, officer. I am a co-host on a sports radio show." Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
What's great, too, thinking about that. So I was in Florida, and I'm tracking this whole storm from Florida because I had a flight back on Monday morning. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, you guys are just absolutely getting killed with the snow. And I'm like, well, if my flight is delayed or canceled on Monday morning, would I really be that sad to stay in the 80-degree weather a little bit longer?
Can I say this as well, Isaiah? Since we had to, put our lives on the line, and Isaiah has four-wheel drive in his truck until last Sunday decides, I'm just not going to work now that we have a bunch of snow. Good timing with the four-wheel drive to go out. But can I say this, Isaiah? I think our man, in all seriousness, picked the best time ever to get out of Dodge.
100%. When I showed up on Sunday morning, I didn't even know that you were going to be gone. So I walk in on Sunday morning, and it's Bake and Dave, and I'm like, where's Scotty at? Is he not coming in today? They're like, no, he's in Florida. I'm like, when did he book this flight?
Yes.
How long ago did he look this up?
Well, what's incredible, too, is you mentioned the level 3. So we did fly back Monday morning. I flew back about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, landed about 11 o'clock, guys. And I got to tell you, I'm a gambling man. You know that. We all know that.
Yes.
But when your flight and you see your plane coming down and all you can see is snow and ice on the runway, like that heart, my heart is pounding on these big time bets that we make.
Are you making bets with the fellow passengers?
my heart was pounding like you would not believe as that plane is landing. As a level 3 is happening in Columbus, and the plane is just landing on a crazy, icy runway. And I'm looking out the window, and it feels like I'm landing in Antarctica. Like, all I see is white and snow and all that stuff. And I'll tell you what, it was like I had $1 million bet on the line. But it felt like my life bet was on the line. Pilot did a great job, landed. And then I get to the airport, though, guys, and you guys were in a level 3, and I'm like, well, I'm not just going to sit at Rickenbacker Airport. I got to go home. So I was driving home. I was doing what you did. I was driving in a level 3.
Because they didn't lift it till noon on Monday.
Yes, and it was 11 o'clock, and I'm driving home.
Yeah, so it was right around like 11:30 where they made it on Sunday morning. Yeah. So we got out of here like at 11. We didn't get out here at 11. We had to it took us like 15 minutes to clear the snow off of our cars. But so they made it 11:30, about 11:30 a.m. And then over 24 hours later, they finally lowered it to level 2. It's the first time we've ever had a level 3 in Columbus.
Absolutely
ever.
wild.
I mean, it really is.
And just a reminder, this is your show. This is the Fan Call-In Show. We're opening up those phone lines right now, 614-821-9710, 614-821-9710. You can also hit us up on Twitter. You can also hit us up in the Facebook chat. And we highly recommend you join us on YouTube. In the YouTube chat, we already got a couple friends chiming in there as well. But what we want to get into is a couple different things, a couple of different main topics for this show. Number one, we want to grade the Ohio State offseason for Ohio State football. We want to really get into, now that we've seen most of the pieces are set, right? A lot of we know that the transfer portal is closed. We know that a lot of the pieces are set that way. Coaching news coming out lately. Ohio State hires a special teams coach. Woo-hoo! So let's go ahead and we'll grade how Ohio State football has done this offseason. And then the other thing I want to get into this hour too, Dave, is we got to talk Ohio State hoops. Ohio State has a tough loss yesterday against Wisconsin. They were up early, obviously not able to hold on to it. They lose. It was a bubble game because Ohio State is one of those teams that is sitting there right on the NCAA tournament bubble. And so I want to get into the future for Ohio State hoops, Jake Diebler as head coach, what's the enthusiasm, what we're thinking down the stretch for Ohio State hoops. But let's start it off, of course, with Ohio State football and grading the offseason. Dave, you assess the first grade, A, B, C, D, or F. How's Ohio State's offseason going so far?
And this is all encompassing. So, guys they lost, guys they brought in from the portal, guys they were able to retain, and then coaching, obviously.
Yep.
I give it an A. I give it an A because my biggest things coming into this offseason, you knew you were going to lose a bunch of guys like Caleb Downs and Carnell Tate and those guys. Obviously, Sonny was a senior. Caden McDonald, they tried to get him to come back, but he's projected as a first-round pick, so that probably wasn't going to happen. So the first thing I wanted to make sure was hoping they would retain certain guys. You didn't want to lose like any of the offensive linemen. And I'm not individually, I'm not surprised any of those guys came back. Luke Montgomery, Carson Hinsman, Austin Saraville, but they all came back. And then, you're wondering maybe about Jermaine Matthews and Kenyatta Jackson. They both came back. So that's good. So you didn't lose guys that, would have been like second, third, maybe fourth round picks. So that's good. But the biggest thing to me was, and this might be a tie at the number one priority, find an offensive coordinator from the outside, a veteran with play calling experience at the highest level, a Chip Kelly type, looking at the defensive side of the ball, and Matt Patricia type, bring somebody like that in, or even a Jim Knowles, right? It doesn't have to be somebody from the NFL. Mission accomplished with Arthur Smith. The other big thing, retain Matt Patricia. That was 1A and 1B, or 1A and 1A, however you want to look at it. And they retained Matt Patricia. A lot of people are like, he's going to be one and done. He's not, unless something drastically changes. But no, he's coming back. So you bring in Arthur Smith, you retain Matt Patricia, and I'm like, okay, not to be greedy here, because I know they have kind of a special teams coach who's a quality control. Maybe really nice to bring in like a real special teams coordinator. And they went out and poached Illinois' special teams coordinator. I give it an A, Scott. I think I won't go A+ like off the charts, but I think expecting a lot more than this would have been a little too greedy. I think we were greedy enough. I really like this offseason for Ohio State.
So I am between two grades. I am between A and A+. Honestly, I think this offseason has been spectacular. I really do. A lot of the things I echo what you just talked about, but I want to get deeper into special teams. So special teams is a big reason why, and it is what has killed Ohio State in big moments over the years, right? And so now Ohio State is finally putting a true emphasis on special teams. And as you mentioned, Ohio State making the hire from Illinois, hiring Robbie Disher as special teams coordinator, and I love it. I love it because that is one thing that has been so frustrating with Ohio State football over the years. And guys, just think about all of the big games in football that we've seen over the last month, okay? How important are special teams? Well, look at that national championship game. Does Indiana win the national championship over Miami if they don't get a punt block for a touchdown? Like, that was an enormous play in that game, was the special teams play that changed that game. Then you look at the NFL championship games this last weekend, right, where you see the Rams have struggles just fielding a punt, right, and how important that was and how that changed the game. And then you watch the Broncos struggling with field goals. And it's like, gosh, huge games are determined by special teams all the time. Just look at Ohio State. That Indiana game. Is Ohio State the Big Ten champs and the 1 seed if you're able to make a field goal late in that game? Probably. You look at Miami and that A&M game. Is Miami out in the very first game of the playoffs because A&M is able to kick some field goals? Like, special teams across the board in big games is so important, and I think finally Ohio State is putting the emphasis on that, going out, recruiting an elite kicker, and now making a great hire for special teams coordinator. So to me, I'm between A and A+ on this offseason because of that and because of what you said as far as retaining Matt Patricia and then also hiring a extremely experienced NFL offensive coordinator. Dave, I'm thrilled with this offseason.
I am too, and I think a lot of people, like, regarding the portal, we're like, oh, geez, you see the numbers, and it's understandable. You see, oh, geez, Ohio State's losing 30-some players, like 31 scholarship players, and a few walk-ons to the portal. You'd see headlines like, Ohio State's losing 34 players. Okay, a million times out of a million, if you're a Buckeye fan, you would take the group that they're bringing in from the portal as opposed to the guys that they're losing.
Yeah.
I mean, number one, the kicker, speaking of special teams,
Yep.
Connor Hawkins. They brought in a bunch of guys who, now Connor Hawkins isn't that. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. He redshirted at Baylor, then was really good as a redshirt freshman this past year. Now he's here at Ohio State. But, they got guys like Terry Moore. Earl Little Jr. What was their strategy here? Let's find veteran guys who have starting experience, have been productive at the college level. We don't care. Now, some of these guys were highly rated high school recruits. We don't care about stars. We care about getting older, veteran, getting guys that have been productive on the college level. And I think they did a great job. They brought in a total of 18, including the kicker, including a punter, including an emergency quarterback. So some of those guys were depth pieces. The offensive lineman they brought in from Dartmouth, depth piece. But a lot of those guys like Earl Little and Terry Moore are going to play a lot and play. When they brought in some defensive linemen from Alabama, they brought in the one from UCF, John Walker. So I think they did a good job bringing guys in the portal. They didn't knock it out of the park in the portal, but I like their strategy. When you mix that with what they did with coaching, I'm with you. I would definitely err more towards A+ than A-.
And we want to hear from you. What's your grade for Ohio State's offseason? Are Dave and I just absolutely crazy saying it's between an A and A+? Like, are there some things that you think that Ohio State failed on this offseason? We want to hear from you. The number is 614-821-9710. You can also hit us up in the YouTube chat. And I want to throw one more stat out at you, Dave, as far as Ohio State in this offseason and how good I think it's been. Think about this. With Arthur Smith, that hire, and with Matt Patricia, you are going to have nearly 40 years of combined NFL coaching experience between your two coordinators. 40 years of NFL experience between Arthur Smith and Matt Patricia as your coordinators.
When you say it out loud, and we got to take a break. When you say it out loud, both of Ohio State's coordinators are former NFL head coaches. It's almost like surreal.
It's ridiculous.
Right. Up next, we're going to take your call, 614-821-9710. This is the Fan Collins Show.
The sound of Paul Keels calling a Buckeye game is erotic.
Oh, yes.
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call Tri-State Men's Health today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at Tri-State Men's Health will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654. That's 800-900-9654, or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 2 convenient locations in the area to serve you, in Hilliard and Westerville.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Right now, buy 4 windows and get 4 free from Window Nation. Plus, you could get no payments or interest for 2 years. Act now and you'll get an extra 10% off for Valentine's Day. Don't miss out. This offer ends soon. Schedule your quote right now at windownation.com.
I always tell people I was the luckiest guy in the world. I wanted to be an Army man or a fireman, and I got to do both. As a firefighter, my job was about saving lives. I never thought one day I would be fighting for mine.
After spending his career answering the call to save others, Ken was diagnosed with ALS. Now he's facing his biggest battle, for more time. For 70 years, Muscular Dystrophy Association has been answering the call to help people live longer and more independent lives.
MDA means to me hope.
MDA is leading the way for people living with ALS, muscular dystrophy, and other neuromuscular diseases by accelerating research, advancing care, and advocating to empower families like Ken's.
I wouldn't be living as good of a life with ALS if it wasn't for MDA. MDA is helping people live stronger and love longer. Learn more at mda.org today.
Maybe it was a family vacation or a school field trip. But there you were, standing in awe at a national park. We are the National Park Foundation, and together with you, we're creating a future where every person, every generation, gets their chance at an unforgettable moment. Today, tomorrow, forever. Learn more at nationalparks.org/foundation.
What would it take for my child to only miss half a day of school for treatment?
What would it take to fund a cure for childhood cancer?
It would take all of us to come together to support the research. Join us. Go to childrenscancer.org today.
It's a new year. Ready for a fresh start or career reboot? At My Computer Career, prep for a more recession-resistant future in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, in months, not years, including AI. Whether you're starting out or switching careers, no prior training is needed. Attend school online from home or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu to take the free career evaluation today. mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
What's the best way to make sure you don't miss any of your favorite fan shows? Oh no. Download the Fan app, silly.
Ah, damn it, I knew that.
App Store, Google Play, or just scream right at your phone. Psst, you can also listen to Buckeye games. Do it now.
It's been a real journey since 2014 when I first had my injury. I realized that my home was just not working for me and that it was time to ask for help. Homes for Our Troops is really giving me my life back. The shower allows me to go in and turn around with my chair, pull down storage racks, automated door systems, hours of my morning given back to me. Adaptive sports are a huge part of my life, a huge part of my healing journey as well. Homes for Our Troops helped with making sure that I had a home gym so that I can continue to train. This past year, I was able to host Thanksgiving in my home. And it was the first time I was able to have my whole family in one place and I was able to contribute to the meal. There are a lot more veterans in need, and Homes for Our Troops is going to be there to help them too.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
How's Tommy doing now?
Much better.
You said it was asthma?
Yeah, he started with this cough and then he was wheezing.
That's terrifying.
Doctor said hidden triggers can make it worse. Things like dust, mold, and even pests.
Pests?
Yeah, droppings and allergens from cockroaches and rodents can seriously impact children with asthma or allergies.
I had no idea.
We're making sure our home stays pest-free.
Don't let pests put your family's health at risk. Visit pestworld.org to learn more. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We are tracking a mix of clouds and sunshine here for your Sunday, but still some very cold temperatures with highs only in the upper teens here for this afternoon. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we are tracking a slight warm-up with highs back in the upper 20s. Now with that will come some clouds and even the chance for a few scattered snow showers. A better chance of light snow will arrive here for Tuesday, mainly south of I-70. And that's a look at your 10 weather impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Aaron White here on 97.1 The Fan.
No hot takes, no dancing, plenty of stupid. Bishop and Friends.
Weekdays from 9 to noon.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Back to the show of the fans, by the fans, and for those crazy fans. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
So we've been talking about grades for Ohio State football in the offseason. We love to get your input here on the Fan Call-In Show. The phone lines are open, 614-821-9710. Couple people weighing in the YouTube chat as well. Sage Ohio gives Ohio State an A for the offseason. Dave, you and I both said A. Look, the thing that comes back to me is you have two coordinators, Matt Patricia and Arthur Smith, that are going to have about 40 years of NFL coaching experience combined. That's an incredible number to me. And now I absolutely love that Ohio State is putting an emphasis on the special teams. We did get a comment in our YouTube chat from 9-Hole Golf 905. I appreciate you guys acknowledging the offseason the Buckeyes are having. I've seen so many people just endlessly hating on the team, and it's been so tiring. And to me, Dave, I think that mostly stems from Steeler fans that were frustrated with Arthur Smith as a offensive coordinator for the Steelers this last year. And there's a really good point that you made before the show about the emphasis that the Steelers put on defense over offense. I want you to give that stat out.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers, number one in payroll in the entire NFL the last two seasons as far as defensive payroll. Dead last, 32 out of 32 in offensive payroll. So what I would say is I know that they didn't have an electric offense. They didn't have a number two receiver. They had a couple of journeyman running backs that they got a decent amount of. They have ancient Aaron Rodgers, and they finished 15th in NFL in scoring, 24th in total defense. Or, excuse me, offense. 15th in scoring offense, 24th in scoring in total offense. I'm telling you, man, that's actually overachieving based on payroll. I don't know how you could have the lowest payroll in the entire NFL on a particular side of the ball and expect like really good results. I think you can expect maybe, I'm sure there are situations that Steeler fans are like, what's he doing here? What's he doing there? We all follow our teams. We follow every play. So I'm sure there's some validity to that. I would just push back saying, I don't know how much more you can expect when you're 32 out of 32 in payroll and you look at that offense. Like, I don't know how much more you could have got out of that offense. So, yeah, I think context is important here.
Well, the other thing is, if you look at the expectations for the Steelers coming into the year, the Steelers weren't exactly expected to be a playoff team, right? If you looked at their over-under win total, they went significantly over that this last year. They won the division, so they overachieved this year.
And their defense kind of underachieved. Remember that Flacco game against where they just kept throwing the ball to Jamar Chase and they never adjusted? Terrell Austin never. I mean, Jamar Chase had 23 targets in that game. And had some ridiculous. Joe Flacco, every play is like, you knew where Joe Flacco was going. They never adjusted. Number one payroll on defense. They weren't the number one defense in the NFL. They were more of like a mid-tier defense. So I think, and plus Arthur Smith was 7-10 each year as a head coach with the Falcons. Not good, right? 7-10, not horrible. Better than what Urban Meyer did.
And who were his quarterbacks?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
But also he did better than Steve Spurrier did as an NFL head coach, right around what Nick Saban did. And those guys didn't have Desmond Ridder and they had Marcus Mariota too. But Marcus Mariota has not been a good NFL quarterback, and he's gotten a little worse each year. So yeah, Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota. I don't know how you could have won with those quarterbacks. And it's just impressive. At the age of 39, he became an NFL head coach. And he had his 2 years working with Vrabel as the offensive coordinator with the Titans. They had one of the best offenses in the NFL. Number 3 total offense, number 4 scoring offense. Now, Scotty, was a lot of that because they had Derrick Henry and a really good offensive line? Yes, that was the main reason. But I think Arthur, at 37 years old and 38, running that offense, and it says a lot to me that Mike Vrabel trusted him to run his offense. We know Vrabel knows what he's doing. And they had a really good offense both years. I think he gets some credit for that. So, yeah, I think it was a grand slam hire by Ryan Day.
I do, too. And I just think that the offseason in general, like, it's hard for me to not go between an A and an A+. And I keep coming back to this, but the fact that Ohio State is finally putting an emphasis on special teams makes me so happy, Dave, because I feel like that has been the one thing that has just absolutely been the problem over the last 6-8 years has been Ohio State special teams. And so now, okay, you got a good special teams coordinator coming in from Illinois. You put an emphasis on, okay, we're going to go out, we're going to find a good kicker. And so now it's like, okay, you're taking care of the holes. And then you talked about this too. If you were to rank the things that were most important this offseason, one is probably bring back Matt Patricia. That was probably priority number one.
Maybe tied with OC in my book.
And then, number two for me was probably the offensive coordinator. And then shoring up the special teams was 3. And then, oh, by the way, we talk about this. Experience for this team next year. Think about this for Julian Sayin. This year, he went into the playoffs where he had just 12 starts under his belt. Think about next year, where he is going to potentially have 26 starts before he starts another college football playoff game. And so you'll have that experience. And then you have the continuity of this offensive line coming back, and you love that. And then you've got Bo Jackson, who is now going to be in his second year as a starting running back. And then you got Jeremiah Smith. So the weapons. And oh, by the way, you solidified your future at the wide receiver position by signing the top guy, Chris Henry Jr. So to me, just when you add all of those things up, and you made some nice portal additions on defense, it's hard for me, Dave, to not be in between an A and an A+, because I think it's been nearly perfect.
Yeah, I give like their portal class like a B, maybe a B+, because I like the strategy. We're never going to see anything like 2024. It was just the perfect storm. They didn't even bring that many guys in, but it was just like home run, home run, home run. I'm talking about Caleb Downs, Quinshawn, Will Howard. Julian was technically a transfer that year, even though he was at Alabama for like 2 weeks. Yeah, man, I don't get it. So I give the transfer portal class like at least a B, B+, and then I give the coaching hires A, retaining Patricia, that's A+, bringing in Arthur Smith, A+, and then didn't know much about the special teams coach at Illinois till like yesterday, and I've read up on him. That's another A+ hire. So I think the coaching, I don't think Ryan Day could have done a better job with his coaching staff. And overall, he's done an excellent job hiring coaches. Everybody focuses on Kerry Combs. Okay, but how about Jeff Hafley? That was a really good hire. No one thought he'd be one and done, including Jeff Hafley, and now he's the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Jim Knowles, whatever you want to say about Jim Knowles, that was a good hire. Chip Kelly, good hire. Matt Patricia, good hire. I think Arthur Smith is going to be a good hire. So Kerry Combs, that was a bad decision. And then promoting Brian Hartline, you could argue that was a mistake. But overall, I think Ryan Day has done a very good job overall during his time at Ohio State. And I think he knocked it out of the park this offseason.
I still feel this way, that if Brian Hartline didn't get that South Florida job in the middle of the week of the Big Ten Championship, that Ohio State probably wins that Big Ten Championship game, probably gets the 1 seed, and probably goes on and wins the national championship. I really do. We'll never know, right? It's one of those unanswerable questions, but I do believe that Ohio State probably would have won the national championship if South Florida didn't come and kind of screw things up for Ohio State in the middle of that Big Ten Championship week. Hey, Isaiah, before we take a quick break, I want to get your opinion. Dave and I are both A+ on the offseason for Ohio State football. Do you have a different opinion, or are you with us?
I'm with you guys. It's hard to go below an A, and the reason for me is because of all the coaching hires. And one you haven't even mentioned yet is Cortez Hankton. For anyone that you're trying to fill in Brian Hartline's shoes, it's going to be nearly impossible. I mean, he's been the best wide receiver coach in college football in the past decade. But you think about bringing in someone new, and that was one thing I was really worried about in the offseason was, is Ryan Day going to promote from within, or is he going to go out and do what Ohio State should always do, which is go and find the best people? Go and find previous NFL coaches like Arthur Smith. Obviously, we've seen Matt Patricia. And then going to get Cortez Hankton from LSU, I think, is also another slam dunk hire. And then also the addition of Chris Henry Jr. It happened so early on, but when we lost Hartline, everything in the wide receiver room was such in question. And for us to immediately shore that back up, bringing back Chris Henry Jr. and adding Hankton, I think was really big for the Buckeyes.
I think people forget about that too. You got to count that as part of the offseason, is actually closing the door and getting Chris Henry Jr. and your future in the door here at Ohio State. That's got to be part of it. it. Now, this first half hour was all roses, right? We had a lot of great things to say about Ohio State football, giving out A's, all that stuff. Next segment, in 2 minutes, we're going to talk a little Ohio State football. We might not be as cheery and rosy as we were the first half hour. In 2 minutes, Ohio State basketball. This is the Fan Collins Show.
Get Eco. Aaron, when we say same-day furnace installation, what does that mean exactly?
It means if you call us in the dead of winter because your furnace has died, we will install a new furnace the same day.
Get Eco. So by same day, you mean like the next day, but within 24 hours?
No, Jerry, the same day you call.
How can we do that? Do we really have furnace techs just sitting here waiting for emergency calls?
Yes.
And we have a whole warehouse full of different furnaces, so we'll have one ready to go no matter what you need?
Yes.
And we have extra trucks in the fleet, just parked and ready to be loaded at a moment's notice?
Yes.
How do we do that?
Jerry, how could we not do that? If your heat goes out in the middle of winter, that's an emergency. So we'll be there the day you call.
Get Eco. We should install a pole the guys can slide down, like firefighters.
No, Jerry, and please don't suggest that in front of the team.
Get Eco. GetEco.com.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
We are your radio home for the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. We may have a bit of a football problem. Oh, yeah. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Ever want to be a radio star? Or at least hear your voice on the air? Perhaps embarrass all your relatives? This is the Fan Collins Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
All right, it was sunshine and roses there for the first two segments.
It was nice.
Now we're going to be jerks. No, we just call spade a spade on this show. You know, I really feel like Ohio State offseason in football is an A. We all agree it's an A. All right, let's talk Ohio State men's basketball. And I know we're prisoners of the moment. You know, it was a disappointing loss yesterday. I mean, they were underdogs. It wasn't like it was like a shocking loss at Wisconsin, one of the tougher places to play. But still, here's where I come down. I really like Jake Diebler. I think he's a hell of a nice guy, and I'm rooting like crazy for him. You know, mostly because he's coaching Ohio State men's basketball, and I love Ohio State men's basketball. I do not think he's the right head coach for this program. I think that's how I feel. I love him because I wanted him to succeed, but like he wasn't ready for this job. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. And it kind of was weird timing how everything happened, but man, I just don't feel like he is the right coach for Ohio State men's basketball.
Boy, you know, I want him to succeed so much, Dave, because Ohio guy.
Yeah.
Young.
Great guy.
Awesome guy.
Yeah.
And I'm of the belief that I think no matter how this year ends, I'd like to see him get another year.
No matter how it ends.
No.
What they go in the tank.
Pretty much, yeah.
I have to stay with what I said. I said if they miss the tournament again,
I get it.
He's got to go.
Look, I absolutely get it. To me, I look at it as you've got a top 10 kid coming in next year in Anthony Thompson. I'm excited about that. It's the biggest recruit Ohio State's had in a long time, right? You think back to maybe Sullinger, Oden, Conley, those guys. That's how, and D'Angelo Russell, that's how big of a recruit Ohio State has coming in Anthony Thompson. And he's a 5-star top 10 kid. So I'm excited about that. I think the biggest failure for Ohio State hoops over the last 4 or 5 years has been the absolute disaster that's been the transfer portal for Ohio State. Because if you look across the board, I'm just going to read off some of these transfer portal names that they've brought in over the last several years. So that have played Brandon Knoll, Christoph Tilley, Gabe Cupps. Unfortunately, it's looking like probably about 0 for 3 with those 3 that are brought in. And I know you get various contributions from Tilley and Knoll, and I know Knoll's hurt, but honestly, it's 0 for 3. 2024, Quez Glover, Sean Stewart, Micah Parrish, Aaron Bradshaw, Michi Johnson. That's almost what you would say 0 for 5, although I would say Micah Parrish was okay. But otherwise, that was a disaster of a haul as far as the transfer portal. Year before that, 2023, it was Dale Bonner, Evan Mahaffey, and Jamison Battle. Jamison Battle's the one that you're like, okay, he was significant here. 2022, Ice Likely, Tanner Holden, Sean McNeil. 21, Joey Brunk, Jamari Wheeler. 2020, Seth Towns. And I know some of those are before Jake Diebler was the head coach, but Jake Diebler was still part of the program. The absolute failure to find any significant transfer portal guys has killed this program. It has been absolutely devastating for this program, whereas you look at a Michigan. And look, Michigan is where we want to be as far as basketball right now. And Michigan has hit on their transfer portal additions. And to me, that's been the killer, because you've got the guy, like you've got Bruce and John Mobley, and you've got Devin Royal, and you've hit on some of the recruiting. But it's the transfer portal that's been an absolute disaster.
And we have somebody in the chat, and this is a good question. He's like, all right, Dave, you're saying that, if they don't make the tournament, you think Ohio State needs to move on. Who do you think would be better that we could actually get? I'm going to give you a name. Josh Schertz, St. Louis head coach. They're phenomenal this year.
They're great.
What did he do before that? Indiana State. I remember when this first happened, when they let Holtman go, we were at the casino, and the guy we called Doc, because he looks like the guy from Back to the Future.
Doc Brown, yeah.
Told us, yeah, Doc. And he was like, I think this guy at Indiana State would be good.
He did.
And I looked, I'm like, oh, that would be good. And like, they didn't even consider him, or maybe Ross considered him. Ross was in a bad spot, Ross Bjork there. I mean, he wasn't even technically the AD yet. He was taking over full time like in June. And then Diebler looked great when he was the interim head coach. But yeah, Josh Schertz, I think that's somebody Ohio State could get. He's at St. Louis right now. It's not going to come cheap, but you want to be serious about basketball or not? This is a guy that won in Indiana State without Larry Bird. and they were really good. And now look what he's doing at St. Louis. I mean, they have one of the best records in college basketball this year. They're a top 25 team. So that's who I want.
And that's an absolutely great name, right? I've seen his name out there and what he's done. You're absolutely right. I'm rooting like heck that Jake can get in the tournament this year. I know it's a long shot.
I'm rooting for Jake.
Right now, if you look at the bracket projections, they are right on the bubble. This is an extremely important next about 10 days, because you have to beat Maryland. Maryland stinks. That's a road game. All right, so it's never easy to win on the road in the Big Ten, but you have to do it because of the games that you've dropped already this year. You have to go win at Maryland because Maryland's not good. And then you've got to find a way. Michigan's going to be at home here next weekend, next Sunday, 1 o'clock. That's huge. If you can pull off a win like that, and you can't count on beating probably a top 2, top 3 team, but that would change the whole season around if you can pull that one off. And then you got USC, you got to win that one at home, and then you got Virginia. I do believe, Dave, they have to find a way to win 3 out of 4 in this little stretch here, because you don't have any quality wins. Like, you do not have a win over a tournament team yet.
UCLA's the best win.
And they're a bubble team.
That's the thing. And here's the thing. Again, I've said how much I like Jake as a person and everything, but why don't I feel like he's the right man for the job? Now, hopefully they go on a run, make the tournament. I totally agree. Just make the tournament, give him another year at least. If that doesn't happen, here's the thing. Maybe other than when he first took over and they had the bump, when he was the interim head coach, but so far during his 2 seasons as the full-time head coach, Scott, I don't think I've ever in fact, I know I have never left a game thinking, man, Jake just outcoached the hell out of that guy. Unfortunately, I have left a few games, more than a few, thinking, oh, geez, Jake just got outcoached by that guy.
Well,
and it's frustrating. Things like, halftime adjustments, just just things that you have to do, like inbounds pass. They've gotten a little bit better at that, defending certain situations, not shooting a fadeaway three when you're down by 1 point and you're in the double bonus with 3 seconds left. I mean, it's just, you got to drop a better play than that. That's not yesterday's game. That was a previous game. Point is, we now have almost 2 full seasons of data here, and I never leave a game thinking, man, Jake just outcoached that guy.
Well, the part of the problem, Dave, and we knew this when he was hired, was this: he is a first-time head coach, right? He is literally just in year 2 of being a head coach. And so how much leeway do you give an Ohio State basketball coach that's never been a head coach before at this level? And so he's learning on the job to be a head coach, and he's also learning about managing a team. And I make the argument that the biggest failure for Ohio State basketball has been the transfer portal. Like, it really has been. When you look at those names that I read off over the last 5 or 6 years, and just the absolute duds that these transfer portal guys have been. And I know you're getting a little bit of production out of Tilly. Tilly's been disappointing as a center.
He killed him yesterday. I mean, he was like, one thing he's been good at, because he's like 7 foot, but he plays like he's like 6'9", which isn't, he doesn't play like he's 6'2". He plays like he's 6'9", doesn't block a lot of shots, doesn't get a lot of rebounds, but he's a good passer, fundamental. One thing he's done is had a good field goal percentage, right? Yesterday he was 0 for 7 at one point. Maybe he finished 0 for 7. And that's the best one they got in the portal by far.
Yeah.
Was Tilly. And he's like,
you're getting nothing
average,
out of Cups.
Nothing.
Noel was
decent.
Okay when he was in early in the year, but not a difference maker.
No.
And then the year before, Dave, where it was Quez Glover, Sean Stewart, Micah Parrish, Aaron Bradshaw, and Michi Johnson, you got nothing out of 90% of that. Yep. I mean, you got
Parrish
a little Micah Parrish. He was solid. But Bradshaw, Michi, Sean Stewart, Quez Glover, bust.
Okay, I totally agree. And like, look at this. I mean, Shirts, he checks all the boxes for me. I guess other than if you think he needs to have like Ohio roots, but I don't think that's necessary. Did Thad Matta have Ohio roots? I mean, he did coach at Xavier, if you want to consider that. Thad Matta, but he was from Hoopeston, Illinois, which I always loved. That was the name of his town. All right, Shirts is only 50 years old. That's why I wanted to look it up and make sure we're not that would have precluded anything. How old's Kurt Signetti? That worked out pretty well. I know it's a different sport. 50 years old, from Brooklyn, New York, went to Florida Atlantic. Really has no ties to Ohio at all, but he was very successful at Indiana State, which is not too far from here, and very successful at St. Louis.
Yeah,
that's who I want.
The devastating thing is you look back, and 2013 was the last time Ohio State hoops has made a Sweet 16. 2013. You're talking 13 years ago, and it's painful because look, we knew when Ohio State and Michigan both made a coaching hire in the same offseason that no matter what, there was going to be a comparison between the two. Right. And Dusty May has come in, and let's be honest, Dusty May ended up being a grand slam hire.
We
for
wanted
Michigan.
him, remember? I know I made a joke on Twitter that people, as it's taken off, that people still remind, and that's fine. I'll own it. I was kind of just joking around because you and I, live on the air, many times said we wanted Dusty May from Florida Atlantic.
Well, and he comes in, and in the very first year, he takes Michigan to the Sweet 16.
Yep.
And now he has a legit team in year 2 that can win the national championship. So, and then you compare that to Ohio State is now, for the second year in a row, in a month now in February where they're going to be battling just to stay on this bubble and hopefully maybe find a way to sneak into the tournament. That's the goal at this point. Like, the goal isn't, hey, Sweet 16. The goal isn't, no, the goal is, can this team find a way to get into the tournament? And honestly, if I had to guess right now, I'd say they're not going to make it.
The schedule's brutal. The schedule's super tough. I mean, if we want to get in the tournament, we need to get around 20 wins. There's 10 games left, and we have 4 ranked opponents.
But you also need a quality win.
And
like that's
you have a couple chances. You have 4 chances.
Absolutely,
but, it's tough.
But that's part of the problem. Is you look at what they've done so far this year, and their best win being UCLA at home. That's not going to get it done. I know they beat West Virginia on a neutral court. West Virginia's not very good. I have a hard time unless you beat either Michigan or Virginia in the next 14 days or so. You got issues.
hindsight's 20/20, but like you look back on it and it's like, and I think a lot of people said this at the time, like Holtman era not going very well, last few years of the Holtman era, right? Pretty much every year except for year one of the Holtman era. And you get rid of Holtman and your solution is then to promote his top assistant. It just doesn't look good.
Well, he had that win against Purdue.
Right,
where Purdue was the number one team in the country, and it was like, oh my gosh, right out of the gates. What an incredible win. And the problem, Dave, too, is the enthusiasm for this program is near an all-time low. It really is, because if you go to the shot, and I've gone to 5 or 6 games as a fan this year, not covering it as a media, as a fan, bringing the entire family to the games. And Dave, the atmosphere is getting worse. Like, it was already not a great atmosphere at the shot. It is like getting worse and worse.
That's the thing. I think it might be, if they miss the tournament, like, I don't know if running it back is healthy for the program. I'd go out and get a guy. Now, if you can't get shirts, find somebody like that. I think it's time to turn the page if they can't make the tournament this year. All right, we're going to turn the page and have our final segment of the show next. If you want to hit us up at 614-821-9710, this is the Fan Call-In Show.
All the 10 TV people come over to our side of the building to take a deuce. That should tell you something about how we operate. The Fan.
My mom is a veteran and she was injured in the line of duty.
I hurt my leg in a training accident when she was only 2 years old.
She had 7 different surgeries over the span of 9 years, and there were tons of complications.
I couldn't be the mom my kids needed me to be.
She missed so much.
After my last surgery, I got an infection so bad I thought it was going to kill me.
I told her she couldn't leave me yet. There was still so much she had to see. I hadn't even graduated.
I'm doing much better now. I may have lost my leg, but I've gained so much. I'm an active part of my kids' lives.
She can kick a mean soccer ball.
DAV's been there for me and my family. Through thick and thin, they've had our back.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Sandy get the health and disability benefits they've earned so they can achieve victories great and small.
My victory is getting my life back. I got my joy back.
We got our mom back, thanks to DAV.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
I slept in a lot of different rooms, different beds, but none of them really felt like mine. I spent 14 years in foster care, mostly in group homes. And I never had much stuff because I always had to be ready to move. Why get things if you just have to let them go?
There are more than 100,000 children in foster care waiting to be adopted. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is working to help find them a forever family and a permanent home of their own.
Now I have my own room with walls that tell my story. I love hanging out in here. I play dress up with my sisters and I sing and make videos. But the best part, knowing I'll always have a place to go and a family that loves and supports me.
If you have room in your home or your heart, see how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
At the American Lung Association, we're fighting for a day when we can all breathe easier. We're fighting for clear skies over every city and healthy lungs throughout the country. We're fighting to free millions of Americans from the addictive grip of tobacco and the devastating effects of lung disease. The American Lung Association isn't just fighting for air, we're fighting for all the things that make it worth breathing, and we can use your help. See what you can do at fightingforair.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-691-9999. That's 800-691-9999.
All your favorite and least favorite fan shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just type in 971 The Fan to the search bar and hit that subscribe button. It's free.
We're the land of the free and the home of the sunburnt, freckled fat guy.
Do it now.
Great Lakes Hyundai. The savings are so good.
Don't start the new year with the same old ride. Right now, score low lease payments on all 2026 models, like $149 a month for a brand new Elantra or $159 for a new Sonata. Hurry in and kick off the new year right. Columbus or Dublin or glakeshyundai.com. With proof credit $39.95 down plus tax, title, and fees. 2-year lease with 10K miles per year. New Hyundais come equipped with owner assurance and America's Best warranty. A 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain coverage. Ends 2-2.
For 25 years, the Library of Congress Veterans History Project has collected and preserved the experiences of America's heroes. From original letters to oral histories, these first-hand accounts bring history to life, one voice at a time. With over 120,000 stories collected, each reveals the courage, sacrifice, and service of our veterans, but many remain untold. Help our nation reach 125,000. Share a story. Ensure a legacy. Visit loc.gov/vets today.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Your kids and spouse might not listen to you, but we will. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Fun on a Sunday morning here in Columbus, and we've been taking your comments throughout the show. And in the first half hour, we talked about how would you grade the Ohio State football offseason. Dave and I both agreed that it's been an A to an A+ for Ohio State football as far as the offseason has gone, with the hiring, the transfer portal, all that stuff. The emphasis now, it looks like Ohio State's going to put on special teams. Thrilled about that. Through the second half of this hour, we've been talking more Ohio State hoops and talking about kind of the future of Jake Diebler and the Ohio State basketball program. Next hour is On the Money, and we are going to focus on Super Bowl betting. We got a lot of really good numbers out there on Jackson Smith and Jigba, MVP betting numbers. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Ohio State football and the futures numbers for that as well. So stick with us next hour for On the Money. But I want to get to some of these YouTube comments, Dave, and kind of focusing more on Ohio State basketball with these. We'll start out with Craig. Craig says there is still time for this team to make the NCAA tournament, and next year's recruiting class includes the number 8 player in the nation, and Anthony Thomas. I am willing to hang in there one more year with Jake Diebler. I'm kind of in that same boat where I'm really excited about Anthony Thomas coming in. You got a big-time recruit. Thinking about you'll have Mobley back. You should have Royal back. You have to figure out how to do a better job figuring out the transfer portal. And that's been a mess. And there's no excuse for how bad Ohio State hoops is done in the transfer portal. But I'm one that, depending on how this year, unless it completely implodes, I like the idea of bringing Jake Diebler back for a year 3, partially because I just root like heck for the guy, really like the guy. But I also understand your side of things, Dave, where it's like, if this team doesn't make the tournament, what kind of excitement are you going to have going forward?
Yeah, it's just going to get worse next year. I mean, you think it's like a library now, it's going to be a morgue next year.
I get it.
I mean, and I just think, geez, because I just have to stick with what I said entering the year. I mean, nothing's changed about how I feel about Jake Diebler. Love the guy, rooting for him. I hope I'm wrong. But I said coming into the year, if they miss the tournament, it's going to be time to turn the page. And I definitely feel that way. And again, if you're just tuning in, and this is a reasonable question, okay, you're saying move on from Jake if they miss the tournament. Who do you want? Who can Ohio State get? St. Louis coach Josh Schertz, who was at Indiana State before that. He's done a really good job, my friends, at Indiana State. A fantastic job at Indiana State and now St. Louis. 50 years old. He just sounds like the ideal hire. And you're telling me we couldn't get him from St. Louis? Now, there might be a bidding war with another program. That might be a problem. But if you're serious about basketball, bring in a coach like that.
Yeah, I get it, right? You again, we talked about this last segment where you're comparing Ohio State to Michigan in just about everything you do. And Michigan is now competing for a national championship this year after making the Sweet 16 last year. And Ohio State, here we are in February again, like, boy, if we go on a run, maybe we can find our way into the NCAA tournament. A couple other YouTube comments out there. This one from Scott. It seems like they're always talking about who's coming in, and it just doesn't work out. He also mentions that they're struggling with the center position. Tilley's just been bad under the basket, rebounding and scoring. And I think that, we talk about the failures of Ohio State hoops as far as the transfer portal. And really, Dave, it's been a failure as far as big men. Like, it has been a long time since Ohio State has had a legit good center. Felix Okpara was okay. He did some decent things. He was still young. I still don't think he was a very good offensive center. And that's been a failure, right? Tilley has been a disappointment.
Even the guy from Baylor, we haven't even mentioned him.
Yeah.
And they knew
he's been hurt. Yeah.
Well, and they knew that.
Yes, right.
Let's go and get a guy who we think he might miss the season. Like, what? How about don't do that?
And then it was a massive failure last year, obviously, with Sean Stewart and I hate even to bring up Bradshaw, but and Bradshaw too. So the big men, it's been so long, and it kills me for Bruce Thornton because, gosh, he is such a likable guy and a really hardworking point guard, and you want to see him succeed. You want to see him in the tournament, but it's frustrating, Dave.
And one more comment from our YouTube chat. Very vibrant YouTube chat, so get on there, 971 The Fan on YouTube. This is from Jimmy Smith. He says, little apparent development from Ohio State's basketball team. Low basketball IQ. Dribble offense is just brutal. Jake rarely has specific answers, and our big men play like they are afraid. You're not going to get any pushback from me on any of those.
Hard to disagree.
This is tough because I don't want to sit here and call for, and I'm not calling for his job right now. But man, I mean, geez, it worked with Ryan Day, but Ryan Day was not on a failed staff. Because I'm gonna say this is Ohio State. This shouldn't be your first time head coach, but like it's working for Ohio State football pretty well having a first time head coach. But he was under Urban Meyer and basically transformed Urban Meyer's offense into the 21st century. And he was, well, I shouldn't say 21st century, like more like the this modern age of college football that Urban's offense was getting a little stale, I'll put it that way, before Ryan Day came in. So that was more understandable. I had some trepidation about that, though.
And if you miss the tournament this year, that's 4 straight that you will be watching March Madness from home and not participating in it. Brutal.
That is all for the Fan Call-In Show, but don't go anywhere. Up next is On the Money with Scotty and me right here on The Fan.
Matty Ice has a large tattoo on his calf of LeBron eating a lion. I have nothing